Welcome to Daily Conversation. It's Mr. K.
This is Eric.
Yeah, today is the 29th of June 2021, and the time now is 6:16 a.m. Well, today our topic is it better to work in a big city or a small town? So before we get started, please click the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right, so here we go. Yep. So for me in the big city, um firstly the first things to say is in the big city I think um uh they if you are able to find a job in the big city, and basically by comparison the job in the big city, I mean the workload will be more. And then however at the same time uh you it is something like more to work and then more to earn. Yeah, so this is the first things. So I think also because of these they are many people, they find a job in the big city, and but some of them actually they don't move to the big city. They commute to work every day. Yeah, just take the example of in my living place, and I live in Ulutiram, which is considered a small town, not a big city. And then yeah, every day I can see there are a lot of cars. uh, Actually they are from the other town, which is also a small town called Tatingi. Yep. And they go to work, basically is they are heading to the JB town. Yep. And then yeah, sometimes when I have to commute to work in the morning, I will also trap in the traffic, because the traffic is always heavy. Starting from, I think is uh, around after 10 or 15 minutes of the uh, um, of my driving, and then it started to have the traffic jams. Yep. And then the traffic jams will last until basically it's 9 o'clock. Yep. So we call this the rush hour. Yep. So yeah, for big city, I think also one of the bad things you have to get used to is the heavy traffic. Yeah, for this one, unless you move into the big city, which near to your workplace, um, otherwise uh, you have to bear with the traffic every day. Maybe uh, it's not just one time; it's twice, right? Uh, Go to work and then come back home. Yep, and then um, for this one also it is not only when you go to work and go back home. Sometimes if you want to go to uh, have your dinner, sorry, have your lunch. Yep, and then if there is no no restaurants or nothing to eat nearby your workplace, you have to also drive your car to find a place to have your lunch.
You
So
mean in your big cities or in small town?
I think it's in the big in the big cities.
If you work in a small town, don't you need to try to grab your lunch?
Yeah, also, yeah, but we consider the traffic, and then something like
Oh,
you have to find the parking place, right?
mm, mm,
Yeah, sometimes in the big cities, actually, there are a lot of restaurants, much more than the small town. But yeah, because normally we won't eat uh, for me personally, I won't choose those expensive restaurants. And if yes, maybe just uh, once a week, or once per month, not for everyday lunch.
mm.
So you need to find those affordable lunch. And then yeah, of course, you have to also deal with the something like find the parking, and then also traffic jams in the small uh in the big cities, yeah, on the street. Yep. So yeah, for this one, this is something that I think uh we have to face, we have to um bear with it if we work in the big city.
Mm.
Yep. And then yeah, and next I would like to talk about the cost of living in the big cities. Yeah, for this one, yeah, for I think for food, unless you bring your own food to work, yeah, like you, Eric, otherwise you will have to bear with the high cost of living, the cost of the food.
Actually,
Yeah.
since I graduate and I start to work,
Mm.
I I seldom I seldom go out to grab my lunch. And when I first my first job after
Mm.
graduate, I actually subscribed the food delivery.
Oh.
So actually is I need to I need to pass I need to pass my Tupperware
Mm.
to to the to a company, and then
Mm.
yeah, actually it's one person,
Yeah.
and he running the company, and I pass my Tupperware to him, and then I need to prepare two Tupperware, and
Oh, I
then
see.
yeah, and then for example today he did he will send me he will send me the lunch my lunch
Mm.
during the afternoons,
Yeah.
sorry, before the noons, yeah, before the noons, and then I will pass him uh I'll pass him a blank Tupperware. Yeah.
Mm.
So this is an unfilled Tupperware.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then it repeat every day.
Mm.
Mm. And then the
Yeah.
cost, because that the food subscriptions it only like cover Monday to Friday,
Mm.
and then sometimes I need to work Saturdays, so I need to go out and grab my own food, or maybe
Yeah.
I actually find the nearest restaurants in
Mm.
my house, and then I just also taking away the food and then take to office and eat at the noon.
Mm.
And the cost for the food is, if I'm not wrong, is 200 200 ringgit,
Mm.
and this is for 1 month, and then
Okay.
plus 30 ringgit. This is the transportation fee. Yeah, so total
Okay.
1 month is spend me 230 ringgit. Mm.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
if you compare the cost with your lunch cost, is it expensive or is it cheaper? I think it definitely will be more expensive, right?
Yeah. Uh, for 230, this is for around for 20 days, right?
Mm,
So it's 20, also 20 lunch. So if we do a calculation, it's around 10 ringgit a day, right? More
mm,
than that, a little bit more than 10 ringgit.
mm,
Mm. Yep. So I think 10 ringgit in the big cities is yeah, it's around like this. But in the small cities, it is expensive for
mm,
one meal.
mm,
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, but it does provide the convenience, right? You don't have to drive and then save your time, save your also your fuel, right?
mm. Maybe your parking fee.
Yep. Yep. Right. And then just now you say you subscribe to um the food delivery and then the provider. I thought you are talking about something like the Grab Food,
Oh
Food
no.
Panda. Yeah, today's is also very common, right?
And they will be more expensive than that.
Mm, yeah, yeah. All right. So yeah, so these are the things I think um working in the big cities. And how about you? What do you think? And since you are also working in big cities right now, right?
Mm,
Mm.
yeah. Uh, yeah. To me, working in big city and working in small city, mm, it it doesn't mean that. Okay. One premise is it doesn't mean that you work in big city you can get a higher pay. You work in
Mm.
big city, you can also uh pay averagely and also been paid maybe under average. And also
Okay.
maybe a company pay you averagely, but you need to work above average working hour.
Mm. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So maybe you just get, let's say, get 100, 200 more. I mean, let's say in Johor Bahru, maybe you get
Mm.
100, 200 more. And then you need to, let's say, maybe you need to do OT. So you need to work more. Or maybe some company, they ask you to work 5.5 basics per week. And other
Mm.
company ask you to do five day per week. So this is additional 0.5 per week.
Yeah.
And for my industry, it, uh, yeah, of course, uh, in big city, they will have more opportunity because big company in big city, normally big company not in small towns.
Mm.
And but if
Yes.
you are joining some SME company and accountants in Malaysia or in Johor Bahru, the the salary is actually quite average. So it didn't consider whether it is a big city or it is a small city.
Mm.
And for example, the company, they require you to do a lot of things, then they may
Yeah.
need to pay you more, and they also have the budget. Mm. So, and for those company, let's say the company just want to hire account assistants, and then they won't pay you high. Maybe they'll pay you less than 2,000 ringgit. So it really depends on the job nature,
Mm.
and it depends on the uh, on the on the work. Mm, yeah, and in my industry, big city or small town, it really doesn't matter.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
if you want to find job, uh, for accountants, you don't consider whether it is in big city or whether it is in small town. First you consider whether it is a big company or it is a small company, and then the
Mm.
second, if location means to you, then you try to find the nearest location, or maybe you need to move to the 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 location near your company.
Mm. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. So if the yeah like you said, like big cities and sorry, the big company versus a smaller company, right, in your
Mm.
this accounting industry, and the salary you can get of course is higher in the bigger company, is it?
Mm.
Mm. Yeah. Right. And then yeah, so I think basically the difference between big cities and small town, yeah, people choose big cities is yeah, it's just because to get more to find an opportunity to earn more, right?
Mm.
Yeah. And many of them, they have no choice. They they don't want to move to the big cities, and they have to commute. Yeah, some of them really commute a long distance. Yeah, from Kota Tinggi to Johor Bahru, the distance is around 30 kilometers. Yeah, some
Mm.
even more than that.
Yeah. Do you think uh okay, for example, mm, how how big how big the city was? I mean, how big the size of city was? You consider it's a big city.
Oh, um, yeah, basically because I use my experience and in my living area, Ulu and some places like yeah, we talk about the place we know, right? Some places, right? Taman Gaya and Taman Johor Jaya. And this for this, I still uh, I didn't consider them as big cities. They are small or medium cities.
Mm.
Yep, and then but I think for a place which is Mount Austin, for this place I actually consider it as yeah, almost as big cities.
Yeah, previously I worked in uh Austin Perdana, so near to Mount Austin,
Mm.
and salary is uh yeah, it's just something that I told you. It doesn't matter.
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
if you say
So
Mount, and if you
mm,
say Mount Austin is big city, and then
yeah,
somebody will be paid more. And then how about if you compare Taman Johor Jaya and compare Taman Johor Jaya and the Mount Austin, and the
mm,
pay is not a lot because this is too near, right?
mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
And why a company in Mount Austin they want to pay you higher?
yes,
Then you're talking about Johor Jaya, you're talking about Taman Gaya, and you're talking about Mount Austin,
mm,
and also maybe Taman Molek. Taman Molek
yeah,
is also if if you think Milestone is a big city, maybe Taman Molek also under your consideration of big city.
Yeah.
But this place is too near. Yeah, the distance between these cities, this park is really not long, and you just need maybe like 15 minutes or to 20 minutes, then you can reach point A to point B.
Yep.
If you ask me whether it's a big city or not, if you want me to give you some example, I would think, yeah, JB Town is a big city. And besides that, maybe KL, maybe Kuala Lumpur is also a big city.
Yeah.
Mm.
How about Penang? I think.
Yeah, Penang I'm not familiar, but Penang also have some big city.
Yeah, a lot of traffic there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else for big city?
No.
Yeah. How about small town? Yeah, small town. Firstly, I think the biggest difference is in a small town. The first impression to me is the salary is lower, and then the traffic is lighter compared to big cities, and everything is more relaxed. Yep.
But based on your category, Taman Johor Jaya, Ulu Tiram don't have heavy traffic. I think Ulu Tiram suffer a lot, right?
Ulu Tiram.
Because one of my ex-classmates, and he lived in Ulu Tiram, and then every day when he need to come to school, come to college, and then he need to suffer the heavy traffic.
Yeah, maybe because the traffic is actually is not origined in Ulu Tiram. I mean, the traffic is actually from the somewhere near to the JB town, but the traffic is so long until it causes some congestions in Ulu Tiram area. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's also a problem.
Yeah, yeah. So it is something like, even you live in a small town, you also have to deal with traffic jams, right? Yep.
Yeah. And if you live in small towns, maybe some place only have the residential area, and there's no like company and office around there, and then you couldn't get the job opportunity near to your house.
Yep.
Yeah. So you just travel from a small town to a relatively bigger town to work. And then if you live in small towns, you also need to travel. And then if you live in small town and then you work in a really big city, let's say like a JB town, or Singapore,
Yeah.
and then you also need to travel. So is that difference matter?
Yeah, actually, for the traffic problem, I think for people who lives in the big cities, they actually suffer little, because even though there is congestion, but uh, it is shorter distance, right?
Mm,
Yeah, but for people who actually live outside the town, and they need to come into these big cities every day, and they are uh, the people who suffer most.
mm.
Yeah.
Then why these people don't move to big city?
Yeah, I think also consider the cost. Maybe it's the rental, maybe it's some other living cost.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you cook by your own and then you buy grocery
Mm.
from the supermarket, and the price it doesn't change a lot, right? Let's say
Yep.
the Giants or maybe like the Econ Safe in, let's say like Johor Jaya, and in maybe other place, Ulu Dirams, and then the price is not much difference.
Mm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, but for people nowadays, yeah, I think there are lesser and lesser people um
Cook by their own,
uh
right?
yeah, yeah, cook
Mm.
their own meal.
Mm. So can we say that big city or small town actually doesn't matter a lot if we are not talking about something like KL and something
Mm.
like Shanghai,
Yeah.
and also mm, yeah, actually I also not sure whether JB Town can be considered big city because this
Mm.
is too near to the small town,
Yeah.
and then you just need to travel about like 20 minutes, then we can go to the JB Town. So I'm not sure whether it can be considered big city.
Mm.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, but of course something like some place like Shanghai and KL, Kuala Lumpur, definitely is a big city.
Mm.
Mm, because for example KL, if you live in Selangor and if you want to travel to the Kuala Lumpur, it may take you like more than 45 minutes, right? If you
Yeah.
drive your own car. Mm,
Yeah. And it seems like I remember that but I didn't remember it well. Uh I heard that some people they live in uh, somewhere around Kuala Lumpur, and they drive to work and they will use the highway. Yeah, even though that is highway, but they have to um, uh, face the heavy traffic every day, and the time that they spend on the road is actually counted in hours. It's not in minutes.
oh, then
Yeah.
how many kilometer?
I don't know the distance, but
Mm,
it's something like they have to um uh they have to face the traffic jams every day, and it is very
mm,
serious. And when they get home, maybe it's very late at night. Maybe it's 9 or 10 o'clock.
mm.
Yeah, I don't know whether now it is still the case. Yeah, because that is, I think, is a news 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, if you talk about KL, and then I agree, in big city the pay will be higher. But if you're
Mm.
talking like the JB towns actually not.
Mm.
And maybe in KL, you work at the same industry and then the same positions
Yeah.
and then same size of company. Maybe the salary have some difference, maybe a few hundred ringgit.
Mm.
But the few hundred ringgit, it just compensates your living cost.
Yeah.
And I think what matter is actually the job opportunity. People will think job opportunity is more important because salary it didn't increase a lot, but they have more chance to get promotions, and then maybe next time you can change your job so you can get a higher salary. And in the small towns, there's a cap, there's a ceiling. Maybe maximum you can only get 3,000, and it's really hard to increase your salary after that. But in
Yeah.
KL, it is more easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I think it applied to if you mention in Malaysia case, I think it applied to Kuala Lumpur and maybe it applied to Penang, depend on the location, depend on distance. If you talk about JB, I think it might not be the case.
Yeah. So, how about in Singapore? Is it the whole country considered as big cities?
No, they also have some place which is not that convenient. Yeah, but the pace between the regions, for example, the east node, south node, and west and central, yeah, like this, the salary between the regions don't have much difference. Yeah,
Oh.
in my opinion, no difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some agents, some recruitment agent will also tell you Singapore is so small. Yeah. You don't need to care the location, you can travel.
Yep.
If you travel from, let's say, the west to the east, yeah, and then it might take you, maybe it might take you around 2 hours.
Oh, you mean
Yeah.
by car or what?
No, by MRT, by
MRT.
bus.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, if by car, it will be faster.
Yeah. Yep. And then yeah, in Singapore, do you see many people they use bicycle commuting to work?
Not many, but there are some people travel by bicycle.
Oh.
And I travel by my foot.
Yeah.
And actually, if you consider the distance, and this is I think it's a bit similar in my the distance is similar. Sorry, I mean the distance between the home to office is similar as the job I work in JB. The last job.
Okay.
It's also around 1.5 kilometer. And if I drive a car, I just need less than 10 minutes. Yeah, sometimes it's 6 minutes, 7 minutes. And if you walk 1.5 kilometer,
Yeah.
it may cost you around 25 minutes. Mm,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. So how do you go to work right now?
By foot.
So you walk 25 minutes a day?
Mm, yeah. No,
Oh,
I walk 15 minutes. Yeah, it's around 15 minutes. Mm, yeah. And normally
mm,
uh I leave my home at around 8:20 to 8:25, and
okay.
then I will reach my office 8:45 to 8:50. Yeah, so
Mm,
it's around 25 minutes. And then when I come back
mm.
home, it's also similar.
Wow, wow, then you really walk a lot. I thought you walk like 10 minutes to your workplace.
Mm, yeah,
Mm,
no.
yeah. Yeah, and just now you say 1.5 kilometer. I also think that isn't that is quite a long distance? Yeah. And then yeah, really quite long distance.
Mm,
Mm,
yeah.
yeah. So I also believe that you already get used to it, right?
Mm. Yeah,
Mm,
if you take bus, it also will cost you around 15 minutes to 20 minutes. Mm. I miss not yeah normally it will take less than 15 minutes. Mm.
mm,
But you also
yeah.
need to walk a distance. Maybe you need to walk like 500 meters. Mm. So if you
Mm,
compare, if you take bus, you can save like 1 kilometer.
mm,
Mm. And then if you by foot, you just need to walk additional 1 kilometer.
mm,
Mm.
yeah.
So
So how?
you calculate the marginal. Mm.
Mm, yeah.
Is that what you
Yeah.
want to ask?
How about if there is a heavy rain? Uh, yeah.
Yeah, if the rain is really heavy, and then I'll
Mm,
take bus. And
mm,
maybe it's just one time uh, a month, mm, one or
yeah.
two times a month. Mm, yeah, and for normal rain, as long as it's not too heavy, and then I
Mm,
will also choose to walk. Mm,
mm, yeah.
okay, so do you have anything want to add in?
Mm, yeah. I think no. Yeah.
Me neither. So that's all for our today conversations. How do you feel? Did you enjoy the conversations? Please tell us what you think of our conversations. And we are not native speakers. If you found any vocabulary mistake that we made, please also comment and let us know. Because we want to learn more and improve ourselves. Remember to like and subscribe to us. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.